you remember waking up early on Saturday morning, cereal in hand, plopping down in front of the TV without a care in the world? Well, it's time to ruin all of that. After reading some of the comments on the previous videos, I could see you guys were really hungry for more. So today we're diving deep into the darkest fan theories behind some of the most beloved cartoons from the 80s and 90s. And trust me, once you hear these, you'll never look at your childhood the same way again. We've already covered the Smurfs, Care Bears, Inspector Gadget, and more. But this batch is next level disturbing. We're talking comas, mental institutions, war trauma, and even eco-gods bent on revenge. So go ahead and hit that like button if you grew up on these shows. Subscribe for more twisted cartoon theories and 80s and 90s nostalgia. Buckle up and let's dive into 5 dark cartoon theories that might actually be true. Part 3.
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Captain Planet, the mullet-rocking, pun-slinging eco-hero who shows up when 5 teenagers combine the powers of earth, fire, wind, water, and heart. But according to one eerie theory, he's not a hero at all. He's a vengeful god, an ancient elemental force barely contained by the Planeteers. Think about it. Gaia didn't create him. She summoned him, like some long-dormant deity, awakened only when the planet is pushed to its breaking point. He doesn't appear out of kindness. He appears out of necessity, out of wrath. His powers are natural disasters bottled into a blue-skinned humanoid with green hair and a serious grudge. And he's always just a little too intense. One minute he's gently cleaning oil off seabirds, the next he's flinging eco-villains into the stratosphere like it's Mortal Kombat and he's got infinite fatalities turned on. And when the Planeteers can't control him, Gaia sends him back. That's not a superhero, that's a ticking time bomb. It's like they're keeping a cosmic entity on a leash made of friendship and positive affirmations. But here's the disturbing part. What if Captain Planet isn't here to save us? He's here to judge us. The theory goes that the power of heart isn't just some feel-good nonsense. It's the final seal, the last spiritual lock keeping this elemental from wiping humanity off the map. Without it, there's no empathy, no restraint, just cleansing fire and wind and earth swallowing cities whole. And if you watch the show closely, something terrifying starts to emerge. Each time he's summoned, the balance gets a little harder to maintain. Each episode, he seems more agitated, less patient, more like a god who's fed up with his worshippers.
That's why it's so important to burn less of those fuels that pollute the atmosphere and make Earth hotter.
Can people stop this?
We must. The power is yours.
One day, maybe when the oceans rise too high or the smog blocks out the sun, he might snap. And this time, he's not saving the day. He's hitting reset because Captain Planet doesn't want to protect us anymore. He wants to erase us. But Captain Planet isn't the only cartoon with a terrifying hidden truth. What if I told you one of the most wholesome cartoon shows, one where a little boy explores the world using his imagination, is actually a psychological study in childhood trauma? Because in Bobby's world, it's not just make-believe. It might be the only way he can survive. Let me explain. If you were a 90s kid, Bobby's world was a Saturday morning essential. That adorable big-headed boy with a striped shirt and a wild imagination, navigating hilarious moments with his loud, quirky, ultra-Midwestern family. His adventures were innocent, silly, wholesome. But here's where things take a darker turn. Some fans believe Bobby isn't just imaginative, he's in a coma. And the entire show, every goofy adventure, every bizarre situation, is actually taking place inside his mind. The theory goes like this. In the very first episode, Bobby suffers a traumatic accident, possibly from falling down the stairs. After that moment, nothing is quite grounded in reality. Instead, everything unfolds inside Bobby's subconscious as he lies in a hospital bed, unresponsive. And once you rewatch the episode with that theory in mind, the clues are chilling.
Well, Bobby, what's all the fuss?
Ruth, she was after me. She was crunching cars and stomping on people and picking cheese and...
Oh, Bobby, you were just having a nightmare. I promise you, everything is all right.
Think about it. Bobby often provides voiceover narration of his own experiences, and not like your average sitcom recap. His inner monologues are oddly self-aware, like he knows he's stuck in a story that isn't real. The adults in his life don't speak normally. Their voices are exaggerated, high-pitched, sometimes muffled or robotic, exactly how a sedated or injured child might perceive sound in a coma state. His adventures are extremely surreal. Drowning in a bowl of soup, flying through space, shrinking down to microscopic size. These could all be metaphorical battles happening in his brain, like his body trying to fight infection or process stimuli while unconscious. And then there's the strangest part, the show's intro. Every episode starts with Howie Mandel, the show's creator, talking directly to Bobby and to us, breaking the fourth wall completely.
I love to dance. Welcome to Bobby's world. Don't you hate it when your parents go out dancing? Because that way they always have to hire a babysitter. Gee.
But what if Howie isn't just a narrator? What if he's Bobby's inner voice, the last conscious part of his brain, guiding him through a dream world while his body fights to survive? A friendly imaginary father figure helping Bobby make sense of the chaos. In that case, every bright, colorful moment we see isn't just a child's imagination. It's Bobby's mind struggling to stay active, to stay alive. And here's the scariest part. There's never a proper ending to the show. No final episode, no goodbye, no moment where Bobby wakes up, or even hints that he's recovered. Just an endless loop of surreal episodes, fragments of memory, dream logic, and inner monologue, because maybe Bobby never wakes up, and Bobby's world isn't a kid's cartoon, it's a mental prison. But Bobby's not the only one who might be trapped in a fantasy world. Up next is a theory that flips an entire show on its head. One you probably watched thinking it was just a silly rescue cartoon with chipmunks in Hawaiian shirts. But what if Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers isn't about heroism at all? What if it's actually about mental illness? And one of the characters we loved most might be experiencing a full-on psychological breakdown. Let's talk about Gadget and the terrifying theory that changes everything. You remember Rescue Rangers as fun, silly Saturday morning chaos, Chip and Dale dressed like Indiana Jones and Magnum P.I., solving bizarre animal crimes with their scrappy little squad. But what if I told you they're not rescuers, they're survivors? This dark theory claims that the Rescue Rangers are actually a group of PTSD-ridden war veterans, psychologically fractured, trying to relive their past by inventing missions that help them avoid confronting their trauma. Let's break it all down. Chip's intense leadership, control freak tendencies, and constant paranoia, classic signs of military conditioning. He acts like a field commander, hyper-vigilant, mission-focused, and emotionally closed off. It's less about solving problems and more about regaining a sense of order and purpose. Dale's goofiness? It's not just comic relief, it's a mask, a psychological coping mechanism. Veterans with deep trauma often use humor to distance themselves from emotional pain. Beneath the jokes and bandana hats is someone who's seen too much.
Well, if there's any trouble involved, Monterey Jack will take care of it. Poof!
Monterey Jack? A textbook addict. His obsession with cheese is played for laughs, but look again. He experiences withdrawal symptoms, tremors, hallucinations. He's in constant relapse. Swap cheese for heroin or alcohol, and his arc becomes disturbingly real. Zipper, the fly, he's the silent foot soldier, loyal, unquestioning, always charging into danger. And unlike the others, he doesn't speak, he just obeys. The expendable grunt, the kind of teammate you mourn once, then replace. And Gadget, the genius inventor with wild eyes and manic energy, she builds entire aircrafts overnight, often without sleeping. She's brilliant, but burned out. Her behavior swings between hyper-focus and erratic bursts of emotion, possibly bipolar, definitely showing signs of chronic anxiety and workaholism.
Poor Boots is surrounded. How are we gonna get him out of there?
And then there are the villains. Fat Cat, Professor Nimnol. They're cartoonish, yes, but they never change. They're more like archetypes than actual threats. It's like the Rangers are stuck fighting the same imaginary enemies again and again, almost like they're replaying scenarios from their past, over and over, because these missions, they're not real, they're therapy. One Redditor pointed out something chilling. Every episode starts with a problem that only they seem to notice, and ends with them patting themselves on the back, whether or not anything actually changed. That's not heroism, that's ritual. They're not trying to fix the world, they're trying to fix themselves. And the scariest part? It might not even be working. Chip's control is slipping. Dale's laughter feels more forced. Gadget's inventions grow more dangerous. And Monterey Jack, he's getting twitchier by the episode. They're not a team of heroes. They're a time bomb of unresolved trauma in a treehouse. But if Rescue Rangers felt like trauma in disguise, wait until you hear what might be going on in Doug. Because this next theory suggests that Bluffington isn't real at all. What if Doug Funny isn't just a quirky daydreamer? What if he's a mentally unstable teenager trapped in a dissociative fantasy, inventing his entire world to escape an unspoken tragedy? Let's dive into this one, and trust me, you'll never hear that theme song the same way again. We all remember Doug, the shy, sweater-vested every kid with a big imagination, a loyal dog, and a crush on Patty Mayonnaise. On the surface, it's harmless, just a slice of life school stories, with Doug journaling his day and drifting off into superhero fantasies as Quailman. But according to one disturbing theory, Doug isn't just writing in a journal. He's writing his escape plan because none of it, Bluffington, the friends, the school, is real. It's all a carefully constructed fantasy made by a lonely, mentally unstable boy coping with something awful. Let's look at the signs. Bluffington is almost too perfect. Every character is a caricature. They're color-coded with absurd skin tones, blue, green, purple, like something out of a child's coloring book. It's as if Doug is populating his imaginary world with safe, cartoonish people who can't truly hurt him. And those characters? They never grow, never change, never move away, just like dolls in a ideorama. Doug's crush, Patty, the perfect girl next door, always kind, always available, never rejects him.
Yeah, that was great. Or how about the time when the guy grabs her arm and she... Oops.
Skeeter, the ultimate best friend, quirky, loyal, always down for an adventure, but rarely reveals any inner life of his own, almost like an imaginary friend. Even Doug's biggest problems, a school dance, losing a journal, embarrassing himself, are strangely low stakes. Suspiciously low. It's like he's deliberately avoiding real conflict because he's had enough of it. There's also Quailman, Doug's superhero alter ego, a kid who saves the day and gets the girl, all while wearing underwear over his pants. It's juvenile, sure, but it's also a huge red flag. Doug's superhero identity is immature and absurd, like it was invented by a much younger child. Maybe even a child who stopped aging emotionally after some early trauma.
Boy, Roger, I thought you said Percy Femur would kill you if you went to Mr. Bone.
Well, I ran out of ideas. You didn't think I'd let you get creamed, did you?
Well...
Some fans believe Doug may be institutionalized, and Bluffington is his coping mechanism, a lucid dream he returns to again and again. Notice how the town is strangely empty at times? Or how adults speak in trombone gibberish as if their voices don't matter? That's how children process trauma, by muting or simplifying the roles of authority figures. Now, here's where it gets really chilling. Every episode ends the same way. Doug narrates what he's learned, even when nothing actually happened, even when the lesson doesn't quite make sense. It's like he's trying to convince himself over and over that things are okay, that he's okay. But deep down, he knows they're not. The theory paints Doug as a deeply broken kid, possibly dealing with grief, abandonment, or abuse, who's escaped into his own mind and built a world where nothing ever really changes. Because in that kind of world, nothing can ever go wrong again. But Doug isn't the only cartoon with a suspiciously altered reality, because while Doug was stuck in his own little bubble of anxiety and overthinking, there was another 90s icon who may have been trapped in something even darker, a prison built out of speed, static, and paranoia. Let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, and the chilling theory that he was never really free, not from Robotnik, not from his world, not even from his own mind.
Sonic, he's the fastest thing alive. He's the fastest thing alive. He's the fastest thing alive.
Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the most iconic characters of the 90s. Blue blur, attitude for days, chili dog addiction, and an endless addiction to stop the evil Dr. Robotnik from turning innocent animals into robots. But one fan theory flips the whole franchise on its head. It suggests that Sonic and all of the other animal characters aren't real at all. They're hallucinations inside Robotnik's fractured mind. Okay, here's the breakdown. In Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Sat-AM, Robotnik is portrayed very differently. In one version, he's a goofy comic relief villain. In the other, he's a cold, authoritarian dictator ruling over a dystopian future. The only consistent detail? His obsession with Sonic, the one character he can't capture or destroy.
Before this day is done, you and the Power Rings will be right in the palm of my hand.
Now here's the creepy twist. What if Sonic doesn't exist? What if none of the characters do? This theory claims that Robotnik is actually a brilliant but disturbed inventor, slowly succumbing to schizophrenia or some kind of dissociative disorder. The world of Sonic, talking animals, floating rings, chaos emeralds, is a fantasy world he created to cope with reality. Sonic represents everything Robotnik wishes he could be. Fast, carefree, beloved, unstoppable. He's the ultimate opposite. The idealized version of the man Robotnik used to be, before trauma, obsession, and isolation twisted his mind. The constant battles? Reenactments. The same villains appearing over and over? Loops. The animals getting turned into robots? It's how he processes his own destructive behavior, knowing he's hurling others, but too far gone to stop. Even the names are a clue. Robotnik isn't just a cool-sounding bad guy title, it literally means worker or robot maker.
Well, Princess, since the Hedgehog destroyed my robot, I'll make a new improved model.
In this theory, it's not a villain name, it's a label, a role he was forced into, like a prisoner of his own creation. And the animals? Maybe they were real once, friends, lab assistants, even pets. But now, they only exist in his mind, as he rewrites reality into an endless loop of good versus evil, where he still can't win. Why? Because deep down, Robotnik knows he's the villain in his own story, so he builds a world where he gets to keep playing the bad guy over and over and over again. Because if the story ever ends, he has to face the truth, and he's not ready. And there you have it. 5 more theories that make you question everything you thought you knew about some of your favorite 80s and 90s cartoons. Were these shows just innocent entertainment, or was something darker always hiding in plain sight? Let me know in the comments which theory gave you the biggest chills, and let me know if you got your own disturbing cartoon theory. Drop it below. It might just end up in the next episode. So hey, if this video blew your mind, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and share with a friend who used to love these shows. Let's destroy their childhood together. Just kidding. Not really though. And if you haven't already, check out part 1 and part 2 of this series. The links are in the description. Trust me, it only gets darker from here. Until next time, stay curious, stay nostalgic, and always remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones we grew up with. See you next time.